messed up.
Hello gamers. I wanted to record a video that was on the lowest quality camera I had in really poor lighting with some of the worst audio that I could offer you, only because I didn't want to hide behind my expensive camera, my expensive microphone. I didn't want anything but the story that I'm trying to tell you come out. I wanted to be vulnerable, not let the quality of the image or the quality of the sound take away from the story that I'm trying to tell. I want to talk about what it is to be vulnerable, and I think that it's one of the most difficult things that not just gamers, but like honestly human beings have to try to obtain. I think it's really important to be vulnerable because when you open yourself up to criticisms of others or judgment of others, you are really freeing yourself from these compartmentalized feelings that you will sometimes suppress. You know, think about all the times you've been your own worst critic, things that you try to create, you know, you hold on to and you never release because you don't feel like it's good enough to show to anyone. I'm here to tell you it is. If you're your own worst critic, be vulnerable and let someone else tell you how to improve, things you need to work on, how to better yourself. Reach out, ask people to be harsh, don't hold back, and let go of your restrictions. I'm going back at my house now because it's really cold. If you've been trying to become a creator for a while, you've probably come across the advice, don't buy expensive equipment, which is good advice. Use what you have and then improve over time. Harris Heller says, don't spend your first dollar on yourself, invest it back into your streaming. So when you make money on streaming, you should buy expensive equipment, right? But I don't think anyone ever really talks about the reasons we do overpay. And I would say that there are probably two reasons. The first one is dopamine. It's exciting to open up new gear. It makes you feel tingly. You get to experiment with all kinds of really awesome stuff until you get to the point where you realize that you're not utilizing some of this equipment to its full potential. I think that the second reason is that we lie to ourselves. We say that, you know, these investments will make us want to create videos. I will want to make more videos if I spend $750 on a camera. I will want to speak more during stream if I have a $400 microphone. And it doesn't work like that. It doesn't. I wish it did. Jack told me in my last video that I needed better lighting. And now I'm shooting as poor quality video as I can. Does that mean that we should only use our headset microphone and the 720p webcam that we got from Windows? No, not at all. But it does mean that you should be smart when you invest. You don't need an SM7B. You could probably use a Blue Snowball or a Fifine or any other budget option. And honestly, everybody in the world would probably be okay if they only had a Logitech C920. Just gonna be honest. There's actually kind of like this third thing, and it ties into what I was talking about earlier. This third reason that we overspend and like we overinvest our money, we overinvest our time into tech, and it's because it's scary being vulnerable to try. Not to try and make something look good. I obviously want all of my stuff to look good, but at the same time, this is the state of my office and I show this off now because I want to be in a more realistic environment. I love green screen, but I just don't want to do it anymore.
Are you sure about that?
I feel like I'm not showing myself, my natural self when I have the green. We're investing our time and our money into things to make our content better, things to make our stream better, but we're not investing our time into learning how to be a better storyteller, how to amalgamate ideas into content that's going to be valuable to consumers, content consumers, because that's essentially what it is. Why is it scary to be vulnerable? It's scary to be vulnerable because, well, we are tribal beings. We are animals. We don't want to show weakness because weakness means that someone could hurt us. And it doesn't mean physically hurt because, let's be real, if you're being vulnerable, you are at threat of being emotionally hurt. And I know what you're saying. Stop right there. I'm a gamer. I don't feel emotions. I get headshots. Well, you're a person. you're not just a gamer, you're not just a streamer, you're not just a content creator. You're a multifaceted human being. Shrek, you layers, you're an onion. And I think that this advice shines really well into content creation, but it also shines really well into our relationships with the ones around us. It makes you create a deeper bond with those around you that you care about, that you want to let in. So how does creating deeper bonds with those around us help as a streamer or content creator? Well, there was a time when I had to tell anyone who would watch my stream that sometimes I'm going to have to walk away from something because it's going to make me act in a way that I don't want to be. For a long time, they wanted me to play a Soulsborne game, which I just wasn't into. I knew that I had gamer rage issues, and I didn't want to be that negative person that I thought would be drawn out by playing those games. So I had an open conversation and I said, I'm not ready right now. When I am ready, I will absolutely make the announcement. And unfortunately, I even made the announcement too early and I messed up. And I was open and honest about that. And they accepted me for that. They said it's okay. I was scared that the people who supported my content were gonna say goodbye, but they didn't, because I was vulnerable and I let them into a part of myself that could be hurt. Now, that doesn't mean that it's always going to be like that. There are going to be people who hurt you, but through the support of others and your growth as a person, you're going to be okay. So how does being vulnerable make me a better storyteller? Good question, glad you asked it. So your ability to tell a good story or to be motivating, or sometimes it's embarrassing or it's scary to animate yourself when you talk publicly. And that's what content creation or streaming is. It's public speaking. It seems like you're just gonna play Apex, and like some people are just gonna play Apex really well and have a decent career. You're probably not gonna be that content creator. You're gonna be the person who's playing Darkest Dungeon, or the person who's doing their first Souls run, or the person who's playing Dead by Daylight and has awesome channel point rewards that people should redeem to make the gameplay more intricate and interesting. But it doesn't matter how much effort, how much you've spent. It doesn't matter if you're being a dull person. It doesn't matter if you're spending a ton of time into making your content more interesting if you are not making yourself a more interesting person. If you're nervous and you're talking like it's an interview that you don't feel qualified for, you're probably not getting the job. But if instead you open up and you animate and you become more vocal and you enunciate and you slur your words and you just get excited, or you emote and you open up and you let the people on the other side of the camera know that you're someone, you're a real person who is acting goofy or acting entertaining, who at any point could be called out by some turd, you know, you're opening up, you're becoming vulnerable. That's what it is. Being vulnerable is your ability to open yourself up to others for them to hold on to and gain value from. As a content creator, vulnerability in real life has more to do with like your ability to emotionally mature, I would say. Like this, it's really complex, but as a content creator, vulnerability is your ability to open up and let people know the value that you have to offer by being a character or someone who sometimes can be larger than life. This is like the amalgamation of like 10 years of working in mental health and reading a couple hundred books on self-help. By the way, I wish I could get a sponsor from Audible, because the amount of audiobooks that I've listened to about self-care and like how to have a higher level of emotional maturity, it's off the hook. Have you ever seen the advice that says, don't get it perfect, just get it working? That's really good advice. The last part of being vulnerable is your ability to attempt and fail. I made a video about failing faster and I failed at that, but that's okay. It was just another step in my journey of vulnerability and emotional growth. Make your first TikTok, make your first YouTube video, open up, become vulnerable, start. Figure out what you need to do to become better. Ask people to critique you. Tell them it's important that you be honest and that I can accept any critiques that you give as long as we are both being respectful to each other. And that's important because sometimes you are going to ask someone to critique and they're not going to be respectful, and you just have to accept that and maybe move away from that person. Go away, Steve. Go away. Take my advice with a grain of salt. These aren't commandments, these are pieces of advice that are being stretched out somewhere around like a 10 or 12 minute video. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. That's always super awesome. I really appreciate you when you guys do that. Come to the streams. Check out Jack. Check out Vector, Delta. Delta makes amazing music. Jack makes really great content about Japan and becoming an ALT. Vector is a person who I would like to start making art again, so hopefully you'll be listening and you make yourself vulnerable. Create something and ask someone to tear it apart constructively to let you know what to do better, and then work on yourself to make it better. Make the world a better place.